Don't overlook this step or your plants can die. This hack saves you soil and money. This little trick makes planting so easy. If you've never planted up summer containers and you're not sure how to start, today I'm planting up my first ones of the season, and I'm going to share with you step by step how I get it done. Hi, it's Steph, and today I'm at my parents' house, and it's Mother's Day. And what do you get a mom who has everything? I got her some annual plants, and I'm going to plant up her summer containers. And if this is something that you've never done before, have been unsure, or just wanted to see someone do it step by step, today I'm taking you along. The number one thing that you're going to need is a pot or planter, and my mom did tell me that she picked up some new ones this year. These look to be about a 15-inch in diameter, and you certainly want to get a little bit bigger planter because smaller ones will dry out really fast. And so the larger ones, you need a little bit more soil, but they also hold on to moisture a little bit better, which is going to be helpful during the really hot days of summer. Now, when I got here, I fully expected to have to drill some drain holes in these new planters, but you can see that my mom had already filled them up with soil. But when I went to go check, there was no drain holes, which is super important. That would be tip number 2. Make sure that your containers have drain holes. If they don't, the water, when it rains or when you water, will not drain out, which will lead to a lot of moisture in the soil, which can rot the roots of your plants, and then your plants will die. We had to go through and remove the little plug that was in there, and George drilled additional drain holes, so now we have plenty of them. The other thing that I wanted to do was this little trick that I do at the bottom of the container to take up a little bit of soil volume, and that is use one of these nursery pots that many of us gardeners have plenty of laying around, and I like to flip it upside down at the bottom of the container. And not only does that take up a little bit of soil volume, it also prevents the soil from sitting directly on the drain holes and keeping them from getting plugged, which means that container will continue to drain nicely. It also makes it a little bit more lightweight, which will make it easier to move your pot around if you need to. Now, tip number 3 is you need to use the proper soil. So my mom did fill these up with the correct soil, potting soil. Potting soil is made specifically for containers. It's light and airy so that roots can breathe and excess water can drain properly. In-ground and raised bed soils are heavier and can become too dense in pots, which can lead to soggy roots and unhealthy plants. When you choose plants for your container, you want to make sure that you choose plants for the appropriate light conditions. So do you have a sunny space, a part sun location, or a shady location? Otherwise, your plants will fail to thrive. So if you have full sun, that's 6+ hours of sun per day. Part sun would be 4 to 6 hours per day, and shade would be less than 4 hours of sun per day. So my mom's front porch is full sun. So I've picked out some really pretty plants. And to give some interest to your containers, you want to have some height and some things that spill. So it's the classic combination of the thriller, the filler, and the spiller. So for the thriller, I've picked out some coleus. My mom really likes coleus. This is one I grew last year. The Proven Winners Color Blaze Torchlight. It's really pretty. It has a green outer margin, a dark purple foliage with a fuchsia pink kind of stripe in the center. So that is going to be my thriller. As the filler, I chose this Sun Patient, which has a really beautiful deep pink color that's going to pick up on the veining of the coleus, as you can see there. And this Sun Patient is called the Compact Rose Glow, and it is for full to part sun. And as my spiller, I have picked out this sweet potato vine, which is new in garden centers this year. It's the Sweet Caroline Medusa Black. It has this really interesting cut foliage, which is really pretty, and that's going to spill down the front of the container. And I have yet another kind of trailer that's going to go in and around the Sun Patients, and this is a verbena, and it is violet ice, and it's not in bloom yet, but it's a really pretty purple verbena, which will give me kind of these clusters of round purple blooms, which will look really complementary to all of these plants. So now we're going to go ahead and get them planted. So I'm going to go ahead and arrange my plants, and I'm just going to push these into the soil kind of to make a hole about where the plant is going to go. It will make it sit in nice and easily. In the back is where I'm going to put my coleus. I'm going to put my verbena off to the side because it is going to grow, and you can kind of like train it to put it where you want it. And in the front corner, I'm going to put my sweet potato vine. So now when you lift your container, you see that it made an indent, which makes it a lot easier to just drop your plant in place. And then you just tuck the soil in around it. I'm all done planting these up, and you can see that they're a matching pair. And I put the sweet potato vines on the inside corner, the verbena on the outer corners. In the center is the sun patient, and in the back is the coleus. And all that's left to do now is make sure to water everything in. Now, when you water your containers, you just want to shove your finger in the soil. If it feels dry, it needs water. If it's still kind of moist, you can probably skip, because overwatering can sometimes be just as bad as underwatering. So I'm going to go ahead and water these. The other thing that you should know is that annuals are really heavy feeders. I'm going to feed them with a water-soluble fertilizer, and I like to do this on Fridays so that I remember Fertilizer Friday. And you just take a scoop, mix it into your watering can, and go ahead and water your planters, and that will provide them with feeding. Because throughout the season, every time that you water, that fertilizer that's in the soil is coming out of that container, and your plants are going to get really hungry. So that they can perform best for you, it's always a good idea to feed either once a week or every couple of weeks. I'm back home now, and I've started to play with some of my own planters, and I'm going to show you a combination that I'm going to do in two of my planters. Now, at my mom's house, I mostly used cool colors, purples, pinks, and that's exactly what I love to do on my front porch as well. But here on my back patio, I've been experimenting with some hot, warm colors over the last couple of years in my containers, and I really love it. So let me show you what I'm going to do in this 22-inch planter here. So in the back, for some height, movement, and texture, I'm going to go with a tried and true that I absolutely love, and it is the purple fountain grass. And this plant transitions beautifully all the way through summer into the fall. And the rest of the plants that I have here were actually inspired by a container that I saw when I visited a friend last fall. There were some containers outside her building with these plants in them. I loved it, so I took some footage so that I could remember when I went plant shopping this year, and so I could replicate that same combination in a couple of my planters. So let me show you what those plants are. So here on either side, I am going with this plant here, Vermillionaire, and I was calling it Capia, but I believe it's called Kufia. And you can correct me if I'm wrong until I get it correct. But this is a pollinator attracting plant, especially the hummingbirds. They love these blooms, and it can get upwards of, it looks like 18 to 28 inches in size. So I'm going to tuck one of those on each of these back corners. I have one on either side. Really pretty shade of orange with a little cream on the tip. In the center, I have a coleus that I have grown before. This is the Sedona Sunset Color Blaze Coleus in this really pretty shade of orange that is going to kind of tie this all together. Gets pretty big at 24 to 40 inches in height and in width, so that will fill out the center really nicely. Then on either side, I also have a sun patient, which I have grown before and I love. It is the compact orange, and this one is going to look really pretty tucked on either of the front corners. In the center, a begonia. Now in their arrangement, they had a Surefire Red begonia, but this is the Surefire Cascade Red, which was a trial plant that I grew last year, and it's available for the first time this year in nurseries and garden centers. So pretty. This plant was gorgeous all season long. It has these really pretty waxy leaves, and it got pretty big, much bigger than the 12 to 18 inches that it says there, probably upwards of 20 inches in diameter. Really pretty. So I'm going to put that one right in front of the coleus and in between the two orange sun patients. And in the front, trailing down, the sweet potato vine that I also used at my mom's. Now this is the Sweet Caroline Medusa Black. It is a cut leaf sweet potato vine, and this is also new in garden centers and nurseries this year. Will look really nice for some trilling texture in the front of this container. So I think that this combination is going to be beautiful. On the opposite side, I have a little bit smaller planter. It's an 18-inch planter, and I have 5 plants picked out for this side. One of them in the back is a coleus that I also grew last year and I loved. It's the Color Blaze El Brido Coleus. Has all these really pretty colors in it, and it gets to be 24 to 40 inches in height and in width. So that's going to fill out the back of the container. Then on either side, in the corners, I have the orange, compact orange sun patient, which will pick up those colors beautifully. To tie it together, I have another that I've grown before, really pretty, the Superbena Peachy Keen. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? And then in the front, to tie it all together, I'm going to use the same sweet potato vine. This is the Sweet Caroline Medusa Black. And I think that's going to look really pretty as well. If you've never done summer containers in the past, or maybe have felt a little intimidated, not sure what plants to select or what goes together, a couple of months ago I made a really helpful video that shows a free tool that you can use on the Proven Winners website that gives you different plant recipes and different combinations that you can play with, so that when you head out to the nurseries you feel a little more prepared to make some good decisions. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed checking out today's video and today's plant combinations. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.